More than 1.5 million Americans are diagnosed as having some form of autism, a complex and often baffling developmental disability that affects the way a person communicates and interacts socially. While there are a variety of therapies available to date, there is no cure. But today, the story of one little girl and her journey with the help of Mozart.
She looked beautiful. She looked perfect. I was elated.
And to her parents, Sharon and Dave, Ashley was perfect, the second daughter they'd always wanted.
I wanted another child so Casey could have a playmate. They were 14 months apart, and I thought Casey would be a great role model for Ashley.
Okay, come on. Okay, go real slow.
But Ashley had a different idea. At 16 months, she preferred to be left alone.
She would tune us out when you called her name. She would just kind of be in her own world. I couldn't imagine that something would be wrong with my child.
But there was something wrong with Ashley. After a hearing and speech evaluation, it was determined that while her hearing was fine, her speaking ability at 19 months was the equivalent of a 6-month-old.
My heart just sunk.
Dr. Chuck Conlon, a neurodevelopmental pediatrician at Children's Hospital in Bethesda, Maryland, examined Ashley.
We really look at the hallmark of her social interaction abilities and her communicative abilities. It was a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder.
Autism? Ashley's not autistic.
While devastated, Sharon was also determined to find help for her little girl.
Happy birthday to
Around her second birthday, she started speech and occupational therapy. But despite a 20-hour-a-week program for almost a year, Ashley made little progress. So Sharon decided to try a special listening program developed by French doctor Alfred Tomatis, who theorized that autistic children have underdeveloped inner ears that can be retrained through intensive sound therapy.
The Tomatis is really looking to help your ear to listen better and to perceive sound better, and in doing that, to help start language emerge.
At the Spectrum Center in Bethesda, Maryland, Ashley was exposed to the music of Mozart after it had been filtered to bring out the high frequencies.
Mozart carries higher frequencies in the music, and the instrumentation carries along very consistently with the human voice.
Ashley also listened to her mother's voice after it had been modulated.
And with the mother's voice tape, we simulate for the children what it sounded like to them when they were in the room.
It's in the womb that hearing develops. The fetus picks up only high-frequency levels of the mother's voice and other sounds. The Tomatis therapy is designed to replicate those sounds heard in utero in order to reawaken the ear's natural ability to listen and ultimately stimulate the brain's desire to communicate.
For some kids, really opening another door to them and an entirely new world.
For Ashley, the result was nothing short of miraculous.
The second day, I really remember, we got into the car and we were driving home, and all of a sudden she said, "I want cookie." And she'd never said anything spontaneous like that before. And Dave and I looked at each other like, what'd she just say?
After more than a year of Tomatis listening therapy combined with interactive games, Ashley is now part of the crowd.
Give me a high five.
You're doing super.
She learned to talk. She learned to pretend play.
Maybe you're sitting with me.
She learned to hug. She learned to love us.
Oh, big hug.
And Tomatis was just that switch.
But autism experts caution against false hope. They stress that the Tomatis method is not a cure, it's not science, and it's not meant for every autistic child.
I don't think that I could make this a treatment recommendation from the standpoint of definitively do this until there was more evidence to suggest there's good clinical science to say this works.
But for Sharon and her husband Dave, this is all the proof they need.
I love you, Daddy.
Can I have a hug?
Sharon Ruben is Ashley's mother. Very emotional this morning, understandably. And Valerie Dejean is an occupational therapist and director at the Spectrum Center. Good morning to both of you.
Hi.
Nice to have you. I know this method, Valerie, has been around since the 1960s, but it seems as if we're hearing more about it these days and people are more interested. Why is that?
Well, I think that there seems to be an increase in the amount of autism, and I think parents are really researching what they can do, and they're not just taking the answer that there's nothing available for them.
Tell me, I know we heard the music go from before filtering to after filtering. Tell me how this high-pitched noise actually stimulates the inner ear or helps autistic children in layman's terms, please?
Well, how the ear learns to listen to language starts in the womb. At as early as 7 months of age, they learn to recognize all the sounds or phonemes, which are the building blocks of language. If they don't recognize those sounds, it's very hard when they're born to attach meaning to language and learn to develop language. Because of that, they don't hear it, they don't understand it.
So is this a one-time deal, or does this kind of therapy have to continue as a child ages?
It depends on the child and the severity. Some children, like Ashley, do wonderfully, and I feel we can get to the point there with a little bit of maintenance they will do very, very well. But some children are more severe and need more ongoing work.
How is Ashley doing? I understand she's at a Montessori school now.
Yes,
and
she's been released from all of her therapy. She no longer has speech and occupational therapy. She's been released from the special educator from the county. She's in Montessori, and she's just fallen into place like any other 4-year-old.
This must be the answer to your prayers. I mean, you must be so grateful and relieved as Ashley's mom.
I mean, she loves us now. She calls me Mommy. She calls Dave Daddy. I mean, it just opened up a whole new world for her, and for us, we're a family now.
Now, she had other therapy, though, we should point out. She was also on a special diet for some time. Why are you convinced, Sharon, it was this Tomatis method that really is responsible for her vast improvement?
There's not a doubt in my mind that Tomatis really gave her that boost that she needed. We had stopped her speech and occupational therapy during those loops of Tomatis, and every day of Tomatis we were seeing brand new things emerge from her. She was eating new foods. She was spontaneously talking. I mean, she was hugging us and loving us, and she was just being reborn almost. I mean, it was an amazing process.
Valerie, you know, a lot of experts on autism say that while the Tomatis theory is sound, its therapy has not been scientifically proven to work for autistic children because of lack of controlled clinical studies. What is your response to that? And I'm just curious, if this therapy has been around so long, why haven't there been controlled clinical studies?
Well, I agree. We do need the controlled clinical studies. That's a very important, piece of work that needs to be done. And I have many anecdotal stories like Ashley's, but they're anecdotal. I think doing research takes a lot of skill. I'm a clinician. I've been, building my practice. But I think we're trying to form collaborations with universities, with researchers, graduate students to get that work underway because it is important.
But we can't give false hope to all parents of autistic children. What percentage of children respond to this therapy?
Well, I say a good percentage respond. I think about 80%. But they're not all Ashleys. And it depends on their degree of severity. For some parents, having a child who now sleeps through the night or who starts to toilet train or who wants to be with them for the first time is major improvement. But it's not at the same level as we saw with Ashley.
We're almost out of time, but I know you're writing a book about your journey. What's your one piece of advice to parents?
Just heed the warning signs. Sometimes parents just brush off some delays that they see in their children and go to the doctor, go to the pediatrician, and just check it out.
And don't give up, and certainly examine all different kinds of therapy.
Denial. And there's hope out there.
Sharon?
And I hope I can share that with everybody.
Well, I think you have this morning. Sharon and Valerie, thanks so much, and we'll be back after this.